Hi everyone, всем привет. Um, while we, while some of the attendants still trying to connect, I suggest that we start. Yeah. So today I'm happy to introduce our speaker from China, Tim, and we've got he's the director of Innovate, and I think he will tell way more that I can tell about the company a bit later. But also, yeah, Tim, we've got several startups and tech talents that want to join the Chinese market with their products and solutions. So the aim of this webinar is to give them an overview to introduce them to the market and its specifics. Может быть, админы лучше убрать тогда заставку и вывести Тима. Sorry, it's just my comments for the admins. Yeah, so I guess that Tim, you can start your introduction, and then we will proceed with more insights and more deep dive into the topic.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Really glad to having all of you, to join this, webinar. Thank you for the organizer, Anna, and also other, the organizers, behind. So my name is Tim Luan. I'm actually, I'm Chinese, as you can see. So I'm working at the organization which is called Innovate. In English, it could be directly translated to startup street, in China. So, and we were the first, startup street, in the events of the first startup ecosystem, in China back to 10 years ago. And then now we actually pretty well, develop and growth. And we have also quite a lot of unicorns, rising up from this region. Myself, I've been actually, working and also living abroad, for 15 years. I was 9 years in Europe, and afterwards I was in North America for 6 years, and then came back to China since 2013, so 9 years already again. So that's actually a little bit my background, and also because my payroll job, so I'm talking to the startups companies every single day. That's become my daily life. And then plus, because of my role, so I'm also sometimes presenting as a judge for couple of national level startup competition in China, and also in other countries as well sometimes. For example, like last time I was in the, but that was a webinar as well. Joined the Skogova, startup village, and I also participated in Slash in Finland for a couple of years, and also as a speaker and also judge. And also Vivatech from France, and etc. And then and meanwhile, we also do a lot of corporate innovation. So we help the corporate companies. So that means actually sometimes I become like a mentor for those 500 Fortune size global companies in the field of innovation. And that's actually a little bit my background. Yeah, back to the host. So should I starting the probably more deeper introductions of what are we doing and what we probably can help for the company, whoever willing to come to China, or I leave to you?
No, you can start it. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe I can share my desk, and so then you can actually starting from here. Sorry, that's my desk. So, that then can officially introduce again. So we call it 中关村 in a way. 中关村 is like, it is Chinese, directly translate. So, but people call, 中关村 is like, Chinese, version of Silicon Valley. And then I'm telling you probably why. So far we have actually, as you can see, more than 100, unicorns, unicorns actually raised up, from this region, from Zhongguancun area. So, and also, we have become, but the Chinese unicorn number nowadays would be probably pretty equal as the unicorn numbers from United States. So, and then, Beijing, which is also the top city, in the rank of China, and the most of the reason it is because we have many of the universities. I can probably show you here. This is the whole Beijing map, and that covers in the north corner of Beijing, that's cover many of the national level universities. They are most of them national levels. It is probably just because many of the national university established after the 1949 when the new China became. So most of them actually setting up from the capital, and because they can call them like national level universities, and including, for example, national agricultural universities, national aircraft universities, national like normal universities, which is mostly for teachers, etc. So that's why Beijing cover totally 40-ish, 40-ish, national level universities. Every single year, those students are graduate, they're looking for jobs. So that's why all the good, the startups company try to, maintain in this area so they can get, really good pay jobs. And of course, the technology company become more and more, compatible compared with like traditional companies, compared with like government-owned companies. So that's why, for example, I'm not sure if you heard like Xiaomi and Didi. Didi is the Chinese version of like Uber, and also we have Baidu, which is the Chinese version of Google. We have in ByteDance, the product, one of the products from ByteDance, which is called TikTok, and all of them actually grew up from Beijing, and also most of them from Zhongguancun area. And for us, we actually located in the core area of Zhongguancun. So actually from the like whole point of view, we looks like a street, like a walking street, not so long, only 200 meters, but but it covers most of famous of like Chinese incubators, accelerators, and also including VC companies. So that's why this really central trading area covered many of the resources. And of course we have the medias, like a branding, and government, the medias. We have also the university, as you can see. We have also the R&D centers, corporate companies. So it's like building up like the whole ecosystem in Beijing area. I'm not really promoting Beijing that much, but actually I'm not even Beijing guy. My original hometown is Tianjin, and also I was born in Shanghai. But but make it fair. But Beijing still like the number one area in China, raising up the unicorn. As you can see, that's actually unicorns, separating in different region, different district in Beijing area. For example, Haidian district cover 40-ish unicorns, and then another district, Chaoyang, cover like 25. So that's actually how it all goes. And then and nowadays we become more and more international. We have also the different partners in all over the world. By the way, we should put Skogova in here because we are pretty deeply collaborate with them. And also, by the way, we have two offices in overseas as well. One in France, another one in UAE, Dubai. Personally, myself might go to Dubai, UAE again at the end of September. That will be another story, which is we promoting the Chinese technology company go overseas. So that's how it goes. And also, as you can see here, we serve many of the international startups company, foreign tenants services, from visa, from green card, and I mean Chinese green card, and also the subsidies and etc. So basically, we're pretty professional in the field, especially helping overseas startups companies setting down the business in China. And also we have a collaboration with other regions, countries as well. By the way, we nowadays pretty deeply collaborate with SCO, Shanghai Corporate Organization. Since most of you are Russian, so you should actually know, or if you don't know, then please checking over this organization called the Shanghai Corporate Organization, which is established 2000 established in 2000 by the country mostly two, which is Russia and China. Of course, we also have the Central Asia countries, including Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, even India, and afterwards, join in. So we later I could show you some of picture of those. By the way, if you, for example, willing to actually establish your business, your startups in China, Shanghai Corporate Organization could be one of the, platform that could help you sometimes. Please do remember. And of course, we do also not only those, but also international level, events, conference as well, quite lots. And by the way, as I previously mentioned, we also do collaboration with those big companies, the big companies. As you see from this picture, that was I think 2007. 18 of the global 500 Fortune CEO visited us, and it was actually they spent the whole afternoon. I mean, I was like a whole day. Even so, they had a lunchbox in here. So why I was also pretty shocked to us why those big guys, those actually 500 Fortune size company, CEO, spending time in our startup village, startup communities, right? They're small potatoes in compare with them. But later on, we learned is that those big guys, they would like to see why for example, China has so many unicorns rising up every single day, and the number is almost every single year double. And then they want to learn, they want to see how and why, and plus they want to also see how they could collaborate in future. So afterwards, we also delivered kind of a services to those big corporate companies, helping them in the field of innovation. So that's actually every single logo you see from here. They are actually our partners. We collaborate with them. Even so, they are our pay customer. By the way, we are government-owned platform. We are government-owned company. But also, meanwhile, we can gain money as well. So we charge them. We don't charge startups company, but we charge those big guys. Yeah. So every single of them. So they actually have stories behind why they would like to join in. Jumping into the field of startup committees, etc. And there's actually some more pictures. This national company called Sino still. If you any company called Sino, that means government, the federal government owned company from China. So that could be called Sino. So they also linking, willing to see the new materials, etc. This person, Mr. Duncan, he's the global SVP, senior VP of Walmart. That was actually the picture I think we talked 2018. So he participated of final competition for the food safety issues, launched by Walmart, and this Novartis, and also Hitachi, Honda, and Intel, and Daimler, DHL. Sorry, EDF is from a government company from France, and etc. etc. So we do actually pretty much deep collaborations with those actually big guys. And of course, the international events, and definitely also following up as well. It's actually more about probably spending less time to describing more more actually cases, but actually leave the time for you guys. These actually some of the cases study, for example, this in Daimler, and by the way, these actually some international titles what we have between countries to country. By the way, we should actually have someone between China, also Russia. If anyone of you willing to actually bring this one up, we could actually definitely think about. By the way, I might go to Russia by probably beginning of October. Might be depending on the situation. By the way, those actually some the titles we earned from different organizations, like country to countries, like China, Italian makerspace, which is launched by federal government, from China, also Italy, and this actually city to city, to Wenchun city and to Paris region. We had this actually like sale, which is in the field of industrialization innovation centers, and we did quite pretty much concrete cases happening between France and also China. Of course, before COVID-19, that was more active, but now, as you can see, we mostly do from online webinars nowadays, comparing with previously. So that's actually my contact information if you want to actually make a screen card or screenshot or pictures you can leave on. So that's actually the basic information I'm sharing. Of course, I definitely could have more specific following up for example PowerPoints and also introductions. Could be actually even more deeply introduce how you could come to China and how it could be goes. But I would like to see the feedback from you guys. If you have some questions, then I can actually definitely based on the questions, right? That will be more the result driven, just not myself talking on the air.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. There are several questions we have in the chat. One of them is, are there many legal aspects that need to be taken into account when opening a legal entity in China?
Sorry, could you, legal entity in China, but what was the question?
What are the legal aspects of what is the situation around opening a legal entity in Russia when you want to set up a company and to enter the market? Is it hard, or what are the...
Well, yeah. So make it simple and easy. So definitely not hard. So that's quick answer. Then a little bit deeper. Then every single country always attracting the business, to setting up in the region. So that's how the country make money from tax and etc. Right? So nobody wouldn't say no. And meanwhile, China as well. But of course, there are certain industry are pretty limited to overseas companies. for example, natural resources industries like gas, diesels, and I mean, and those actually could be hard, like power stations, nuclears, sometimes, a military, products definitely could be difficult for overseas companies, no matter which country you come from. And also certain industry, even so like, finance, depending what kind of finance, if finance services, they'll be, they're okay. But if you're willing to open a bank in China, that will be, pretty super, difficult. And there's certain like, criteria depending on your business. But most of the like, business definitely welcome and more than welcome to setting up the business no matter which city in China. And then sorry, the process for making the local entity for overseas company, I could say roughly about 2 weeks, because overseas company have actually still a little bit more the documents to provide compared with the domestic company setting up, because you need to prove where the capital come from, right? Not like black money or green money, right? So you got to prove those and etc. So that's actually take a little bit longer. Otherwise, as long as your company is clear, your background is good, and then there's no any like additional like so questions or actually hesitating of your movement, uh, but still taking a little bit time for setting up the business for the entity. We know like for example, I know some of country you have to partner with local person, and then have to be actually, for example, certain percentage of the shares holding from the local person and etc. We don't have actually these kind of policies and etc. at all. Yeah, I'm not sure if this one answer your question.
Yeah, sure. And it's really interesting that you mentioned that China doesn't like request an foreign entrepreneur to have a partner, yeah, with the shares in China. That's something new. Another question we have is from the chat. What are the cultural specifics of business like talks, negotiations, meetings, and is it always necessary for a foreign entrepreneur to have a representative, a local representative in the country?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So that's also a very concrete question. So basically, depending on your business, but mostly we still recommend you have a local like local teams, even so beside of you to to setting up the business in China, because as you mentioned about culture stuff and etc. It's pretty much different country to countries, especially China. We're a big country, and then I see actually this picture shows of course Russia and, well, I shouldn't say we're a big country. If we should say this one to any other country, but not Russia. Sorry. But still, China is still like from the land, it's also pretty big, but after Russia. But anyway, so we actually we have a big border, right? But inside of inside of China, the size, even so the GDP could be compared with like a European Union, even so. So that means we have a different cultures, and because so big country inside of this country, we talk in Chinese. We got the way to live in Chinese way and etc. And even the law and the regulations, even so religions, might slightly different compared with neighbor countries. So that's actually big might be looks like big problem for overseas countries to drive into to get into China market. But one thing I got to reminding to you is that if you get if you actually squeeze in, if you get into the China market, you got to consider China could be considered one piece of market, one piece. Of course, we have different different province. And even so, people sometimes talk about from north part of China to south of China, the culture is different, etc. But still, we actually as a unique country, since 1949, and then the culture, language, everything's merged, for last 70 years. So no matter if you from north part of China to the south part of China, if you go to the city side, then blank your eyes and then you open up again, you wouldn't see mostly super different. You wouldn't see super different. Even so, for me as a Chinese. So what I'm saying is that if you get in the China market, then you actually got ready to go. Not actually compare with like a European market, European Union, or or European Europe. Like in European Union, even so you get in European Union, but the country to country is different. Language is different, regulation is different, law is different. And then everything's like, pretty much different. Even so United States, the states to states, pretty much, different. But China could be considered like one piece. So if your products, available, could be actually could be available for like one province, then you could be actually pretty much easy to duplicate your business model, your products to other region, to other province. So that's what I'm saying. So consider this opportunity, but disadvantage as well. So it's like together. But you probably still get one thing is that you might be find someone that could be partner up with you, and the person in China side is very important. So the person has to understand, might be even so your language, might be even Russian, and also your cultures, your company DNA. You don't want someone, they are really local guy. They can actually make your business good, but they don't have your company DNA, right? You want to actually have someone that definitely could actually copy your company DNA, your cultures, your products, and spirituals to China side. And also this person has to showing up like the industry knowledge in your industry, but not necessarily so deep, so actually professional, but has to be definitely at least in this industry. And plus, the person has to actually understand the international business, how it goes. They understand you. And also this person, because my understanding is that you have your technology company, right? As a technology-driven company to China. So then the person has to actually have the spiritual learning learning the news and learning the new stuff every single day. You know what I'm talking about, right? Some guy, they just they're old guy. They don't want actually flipping over their knowledge. They go the traditional way all the time. You got to have someone to understand the new type. They're willing to learn. And then another one which is very important as well, the person showing up the entrepreneur spiritual. So the person knows how make the business as a business person, as an entrepreneur, and especially could make that happen from 0 to 1, from the products from 0 to 1. Because no matter how big your company from Russia, but once the time you settle down your business in China, you still consider as a startups. You could still consider you as 0. And the person has to understanding how make the business from 0 to 1. So the person might be not necessarily you dig from a corporate company, some VP or CEO from 500 Fortune size company, because they know probably managing like 1,000 employee, 10,000 employee, but maybe they forgot to how to managing like 2 employees, and also have to be actually jumping into the market, not just making papers, making the paycheck. And the last, no, last not least, but actually the show also the person showing up the trust, right? You trust them, you trust the person trusts you. Yeah, what I'm saying, like, it's like, first tier is that, like, you gotta actually understand, the person, it could be actually making just, the beginning of your business and kick off the business. When the business become more localized and etc., then you can actually hiring a more professional person from the industry, but not probably necessary in the beginning. If hiring a really professional person in the beginning, you might pay them a really big amount, right? But might be you don't have this budget in the beginning. And then kicking off the business, not it's different compared with afterwards you actually managing a local, like 100 employees or 10,000 employees. So this is actually the stuff I'm sharing. I'm not quite sure if it's answer your questions.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was a very broad answer. We've got more questions. Another one is, yeah, just a second. What are the main tech trends in the country?
What's the main track?
Main technology trends in China.
Okay. So, well, it's always upgrading. So, before, after a couple of years ago, bunch of O2O, what we call is O2O, online to offline, or IoT, Internet of Thinking, those business, apps, mobile apps, etc. Now, this story is flip over, like this page is out, right? So now, in China, we are more driving to technology, the artificial intelligence, machine learning, and robots, and so now there's a pretty splitting to different field. We sometimes say no, we are in the curve. We're not actually really on the top. We're in the curve, which is actually between. So there's not really major the industry which is driving so fast. So some people in the field of artificial intelligence, some of them actually in the healthcare, some of them actually in the agriculture tech, even so tourist, tourist tech, so splitting the pretty much different. And but we all believe maybe the future is belong to a metaverse. That means actually MR, like AR and AR and then VR mixed, and then also could be actually like a metaverse and etc. And of course on the side, the blockchains and etc. also ongoing. So we are in the field of many of the different industries, ongoing, as well. So, but make it simple is that most of the technology company compared with before is that more core technology driven companies. So they have to showing up core some more technology driven startups. Before probably more business models, right? Like Uber, some fast deliveries and etc. So they actually based on the business model, not really based on technology. Yeah. Hello.
Thanks. Yeah, sorry, that's a problem with my connection. Yeah, we got also, but I guess you've already answered the questions, but let's confirm it once again. There's a question about whether it is necessary to know Mandarin, Chinese language, in order to conduct business in China, or is English enough?
Depending on your business model. So if you actually your business, which is cover international, for example, like English teaching, platforms, or actually something which is between like, overseas. So like, e-commerce or cross-border e-commerce, that might be not necessarily so much, for Chinese, language skills. But if your customer is like really local, then you definitely need to have some knowledge of Chinese. But as I previously mentioned, not necessarily you starting to learn the Chinese from zero, right? Chinese language is pretty difficult. I know Russian is also difficult, but actually Chinese is also very difficult. And plus, the most two difficult language, switching from one to another that will be taking your your age. So I not recommend you like unless you only like 15 years old. So but actually by actually getting your partners, your employees beside of you to assist you for the language problems. And plus nowadays, as you know, the machine learning make the translation more and more easy. So it's not really big issue, no problem.
Thank you. And what are the best cities for opening a branch of an IT company in China?
IT company, depending. If you think IT, that's pretty wide the area. So in China, more people might be only might choose the first tier cities: Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen. Shenzhen is in the south part of China. Of course, you can choose Hong Kong as well. So another one, which is Hangzhou, the hometown of Alibaba, Hangzhou. So if you like technology driven, like for example, artificial intelligence software, mostly that will be Beijing mostly. And then plus, if government related business, Beijing will be the choice as well, because that's the capital. If you choose Shanghai, if you're fintech company, fintech, and you could probably choose Shanghai, or even consumer products, consumer driven products, you could probably choose Shanghai. Shanghai more international, and then also it's like groceries and consumer products, etc. It could be actually choosing Shanghai. If you cross-border e-commerce, you could choose Shenzhen or Hangzhou. Hangzhou, which is like people call internet city, but as I said, internet nowadays not actually a big issue. Nobody actually really talk about internet anymore. Internet become like become air, become like water, really normal stuff. But Shenzhen, if you hardware driven products, Shenzhen cover most of like the supply chains, right? And so Shenzhen might be your choice. And then sometimes people choose Hong Kong because this could be actually between, right? Because Hong Kong is actually definitely Hong Kong is part of China, but actually still kind of like open overseas as well. So there's like there special zone, right? And then also the US dollars, etc., will be more easier to transfer from Hong Kong. And so depending on you, but Hong Kong could be considered as a special zone. So now you're not really in the mainland of China yet, depending on. So as I said, depending on your business model, etc. But Beijing cover still most of the talents. If you technology, driven companies, Beijing have more talent. Yeah, finish. So should I just, probably for next week? Thank you so much for the information. What actually the main tech, I think that the answer to this one already. So hello?
Yeah, I'm here, sorry. So is it difficult for a Russian person to get a visa to visit China? Do you know anything about it?
No, Russian doesn't get difficulties, for the visa issues. The same as other countries. I think so far might be only a few countries. Like I heard probably, like well, I don't want to mention the country name, but like very specific countries. But no, not for Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you. And in which verticals foreign founders are most likely to succeed in China? And also, which verticals would it be hard to compete with locals?
What's local foreign founders? Still, you know, the foreign, you know, the foreigner, sometimes you got to understand, you know, the China culture. No matter which country you come from, that doesn't matter. But you got to actually showing up, like, you know, you understand the China culture a bit, and then will be make your business easier. Make your business easier. So you understand how actually way to communicate dealing with local guys. But as I said, you could actually partner up with some Chinese guy. You don't want to, I'm not saying, hi, you splitting your shares to the local person. Why I should keep all everything to me? But you need, like, same as me, I don't speak Russian. I only know a couple of words like хорошо and but other nothing, right? So you go to, you know, a foreign country, strange country, you definitely need to have a, at least, you know, in the beginning you get a local partner to partner up with you. So that means you don't not necessarily everything depend on you. And plus you might be a, like, you know, travel guy, you know, travel guy between country to country, not necessarily even so for yourself spending, like, you know, your entire life in China. You just actually plant a seed in China, like how it goes, and making sure you find the right person, you trust the person trusts you. And then answer your, and then another one. So which vertical would be actually hard to compete with local? Hard to compete with local. So sometimes we see the, you know, the, you know, China. So we got a way how we actually, you know, dealing with the business, especially as the startups company. Honestly, you don't know your future that much. You don't even so not 100% sure your fine products. So that's why, you know, China become actually, you know, pretty, you know, in advanced, because we could actually believe something which is pretty vulture, and we believe that we could try out. You know, sometimes, like, you know, German and also Japanese, I'm not saying they are not good, but actually they are really actually based on, like, you know, certain, like, in a way, then following up the way. If anything changed, they don't actually follow. But for Chinese, if something, you know, changed, we fully understand. We can actually always update our mindset, you know, following up, like, in a new way. So what I'm trying to say is that you, especially as, you know, startup founder, you got to actually listen in the market, listening your products. I mean, listening your audience. I mean, your clients. So that means you will adjust your directions, even so adjust your, you know, your company directions based on the, demands. And so as long as you listening the customers, then you could be actually definitely, I wouldn't see any unnecessary reason to be successful. So as long as you understand the whole concept, you will be actually okay. But, you know, sometimes I see some foreign countries, you know, founders, they believe something, they just actually, you know, all the way go with this, you know, this direction, and make so much, you know, R&D. I mean, make so much, like, you know, analyzing and reporting, you know, and market research before your try out. Our philosophy is that you try to the market, you get into the market, try it out, not actually, you know, in the bank to see the water, or to see the sea, make so much resources testing the water, how deep of the water, what's the temperature of the water. What we do is like jump into the water, jump into the sea, and see how it goes. Maybe we die, but if we survive, then we survive. Yep.
Thank you. And another question from Dina. Do you know the cases of exits in China among startups founded by foreign founders? And which kind of exit opportunities for foreign founders do you see?
Foreign founders, I mean, like, total foreign founders, they exist. Well, for example, Uber, many others. I mean, if you talk about Uber China, it's different with Uber. But when the Uber exit from China, looks like they fail. But Uber become like a listed company in the second market in Nasdaq, because in the year of I think was it 2018 or 2019, I forgot, because they saw the China branch to the DD, and they gain I think 3 billion, yeah, 3 billion US dollars. And that year those $3 billion become profit, and make Uber profitable company, and become the company at least in the second market. Otherwise, just based on organic sales of Uber overseas market, obviously they wouldn't be in the second market. So that's answer your question. Looks like they sold business to some China guy, but they exit. They got actually pretty good ROI, return of the investment, from that. And actually pretty much similar cases happening for those overseas companies establish their business in China as well. Every single corporate company, big size company, they grow up in China from small as well. Yeah. Which kind of great opportunity?
Yeah, thank you. There's also a question. Can you recommend any accelerators in China?
So we have also actually retail as well, and also if you want to actually join, for example, international level, I mean international, accelerator program, I can text in here. So there's a one called the China Accelerator, but that's operated by I think US people. I think, yeah. I'm not sure if you like.
Thank you. No. You somehow sent it to me, but I can. Yeah, I'll send it to everyone.
Sorry. Yeah, there's also no. For example, our accelerator, we help the overseas companies as well. There's also some VC driven technology. Technology driven accelerators operating in China as well. I gotta check the English name of those. I only know the Chinese name. Yeah, but I could send to you by email afterwards if it's okay, and you can send to all the audience.
Sure. Let me check whether we've got more questions, or I've named every. Prosper, is it necessary for Mandarin? Big cities? Yeah, I think it was all. If anyone has got other questions, please let us know, raise your hand. But if not, yeah, I don't know whether maybe your team have got something to add in general to what you've already said, or yeah, how maybe you've got yeah, how do you is your ecosystem connected to any of the Russian startups already?
Russian startups, yeah, there's actually a few. I can know because I have team members to to make the operations. I don't remember the name, every single name of those, but yes, we do have a couple of Russian startups companies, and pretty well developed. And the same as I mentioned, so they also have local partners, and then the real person from Russia not really traveling every single day from China to Russia, Russia to China, and they even not spending so much time in China. So depending, I consider them as a local company, even so from outside looks like, but they originally come from Russia. Yeah, this, we actually are like in a marketplace, every single day, people come, people go. As you see, I'm the director. I'm not really, dealing with every single cases, but we do have a couple of, from Russia. So totally, we I think we served a couple of hundred, overseas startups companies. But I should say, be honestly, I think maybe 60% of them they're not existing anymore. I mean, from like 7 8 years away, before. Uh, Again, so as a startup founder, make the business to be a successful is not easy. So yeah, many of them they changed their business model, or they leave China market, or they leave the whole market. But definitely there's someone still pretty ongoing, pretty good. Or you could say still survive. I say, as long as you survive, you are successful, right?
Yeah, and I guess probably this would be the last question we have. What is the best way to find and test a local partner?
Well, we did actually have these, services, so you could actually come to us, and of course you could actually link to like, some your Russian, related person. Even so, I was actually before this event, I was joined another, a foreign affairs event. So I was speaking to one of the Russian lady. He worked in the, one of the Chinese organizations. So you might be actually link up with some your relevant, Russian person who in China, and they might give you some advice, or actually we could provide this kind of information as well. We are government-owned platform, so yeah, this sort of part of like our job to doing so.
Great. Thank you so much. This was a very, I endorse what Tim has put in the chat. He says this was an informative webinar, and I'm sure it was. Thank you so much. Guys, if you ever want to contact Tim, you've had his contacts in the slides, but let me know if you forget it or lose it. We would be able to connect you. It'd be great. So thanks so much, Tim. And yeah, this was a wonderful finish for the week of webinars, a very bright one. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And yeah, stay in touch. And thank you, Anna, and also your team members to make it happen.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Otherwise, have a
wonderful
weekend.
Yeah, to you too. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye all, guys.
Bye. Yeah. God bless, Russia.
Thank you, and China. Bye-bye.